Hello, my name is Patrick Robinson, and today I will be going over my final project for print reading and BIM at Oklahoma State University. Today we'll be covering step one and step two of the project, including my schematic diagrams and overall idea layouts, and then diving into my Revit design and dissecting the execution of these ideas. So, just to get into it right away, I'm going to be sharing my screen. That way we can take a look at this. So for my Revit sheets, I really wanted to have my own sort of personal kind of touch. I am an architecture major, so the idea of having my own firm in the future or at any time just seems like a really fun and great sort of idea that I want for my career. And so I played with the design of the letter R for my last name Robinson, and my favorite part was changing the lettering or the spelling of the word architects and adding the EX to get the same sort of effect um, for the word. So this would will be on all my Revit sheets that I will get into later or soon. But diving into my schematic diagram. So for my schematic diagram, I really focused on these three spaces, the living room, the kitchen, and the dining room, and their connections and the overall tone it sets for the rest of the design. And these square footages for all of them were just sort of ballpark sort of ideas. They weren't really based off of anything. They were based off of just averages, but um, the size of the area of the spaces isn't wasn't set in stone. But I really wanted the all of them to be connected to each other. So the direct connection would just be, you walk into the living room and you can get to the kitchen, vice versa, and then same thing for the dining room, the living room, and then at the kitchen and dining room. And so I think having that overall connection makes it's just really successful throughout all housing floor plans. It's just really great for group gatherings or even family gatherings or even just personal gatherings, just going from the kitchen to the dining room to eat, back to the living room, and then, it's just sort of like that triangle effect that you have in the kitchen, just on a little bit bigger scale. I'm looking at the garage and the entryway. I have the garage on the left side of the house and the entryway at the tip. The garage, the idea is to still have some sort of sidewalk that connects the garage to the entryway, and I'll get into that a little bit in a little bit. Um, and then the next connection I wanted to discuss was the entryway to the master bedroom. So this has a relative connection, which is highlighted by the hatch, the purple hatch. And I apologize for the coloring. It came out really weird on my scan, unfortunately, but um, the entryway has a relative connection, meaning it's connected either through a hallway, which is what the idea is here, and then the entry's relative connection to the garage and the bathroom would probably just be a hallway or say sharing the same sort of interior wall. So that's really the first floor, and the master bedroom or has a master bathroom connected to it. And then a patio, which was sort of my special remark for the first floor that connects the living room and the dining room. And I just think having some sort of outdoor space can be really enjoyable for any housing experience. Getting into the second floor, it's kind of like the same layout right above the first one. The special remark here is my studio space being very interested in art and having wanting that own space, I think would be a lot of fun. Because if you're really into arts or any sort of like hobby that can get messy, and really cramped, having that in any sort of like personal area just kind of, it starts to pile up. So I think having its own reserved space and area for that would be a lot of fun and really cool. And it can be converted into like really anything that the user wanted it to be. But I think keeping it a studio space be really fun where you can just work on your craft or whatever you want to work on, and you get a mess in that area and you don't want to, clean it up right away. You can just, remove yourself and then, you go clean up yourself and then, come back to it whenever you want to keep working on it. Another sort of interesting space that I wanted to add was a library or kind of like an office space. I think having your own sort of like book collection would be a lot of fun. And then having, that same space to just read in there, pop open a book on the couch, read, and then the library has a very sort of solitude tone to it. So, making that an office space altogether just seemed very fitting, where you can just start working on something and it have that, sort of focused attitude in there. And then, two extra bedrooms for a family. You have a guest bedroom, or you can have, whoever's living in the house, a game room, or just, an upper living room, just another big space for collective gathering, and then a bathroom. So the bathroom is a relative connection because I think if there's going to be a bunch of activity, having somebody having their own personal bathroom just didn't fit with, how much traffic would be going upstairs. So that's why there's only a relative connection for this. Um, I did play with actually scaling the walls and drawing it out on my tracing paper and just kind of seeing how it would actually fit together. My garage ended up being a lot bigger than I anticipated, so I was really glad to see it, at this scale and drawing it out without getting into it on Revit and then, seeing that surprise then. And it just made it a lot easier for the design process and what I really wanted to keep when I started to, actually design it. All these areas, numbered areas, connect to, their descriptions here in the key. So one being the garage, two being the entry, etc. I added an extra bathroom because I realized, you can't just have one master bedroom, so everybody's got to go to the bathroom at some point. So having, one extra bathroom seemed very fitting. And then these connection spaces, the living room, the kitchen, and the dining room still having a very really direct relationship to each other. Originally, I wanted to, push the living room down about half a foot that way, when you walked into the living room, it just felt like a different experience. I didn't end up doing that for the final design, but it was an idea that I thought would be fun, but I just didn't go along with it. And then both the living room and the dining room have doorways and windows to the patio or the outdoor area, which I think really opens up those spaces, especially if there are areas for gathering. Having those spaces open with natural lighting and big tall windows really makes those feels a lot spaces feel a lot more breathable if you're in a like group dinner or Thanksgiving, that sort of thing. I still kept my master bedroom and they do have their own master bathroom. And then I also added some trees just for fun. I really like drawing this on uh tracing paper. It was just a lot of fun. So, sorry for the extra little smears and whatnot, but I had a lot of fun drawing this. And so here's the second floor, and it was just kind of a replica as far as like the overall shape of the house. Um, I kept my studio space here, adding, windows for natural lighting, just so, again, you want that space to be very breathable, especially if you're going to be in there, constructing, doing whatever you want in that studio area. You want to be able to breathe in there and work effectively and move effectively and feel really free in there. Um, I added an extra bathroom for the same reason as the first floor. And the bathrooms are actually directly above each other, so they both share the same wet wall, which is really great for construction. Um, and then the library and office space having, windows involved. I ended up adding another room splitting it, cutting it in half, and just playing with the overall kind of idea of having like a guest room, or even if it's like a big multifamily, you can have multiple people in different rooms. So that was the idea behind that. Getting into my table, the first floor and the second floor ended up both being 1,430 square feet. Parking, I decided to do an indoor garage as highlighted in both the diagram and the scale drawing. And then my special remarks, the first floor is the patio, and then I ended up adding one more to the first floor, which I'll get into in my Revit, and then the studio space on the second floor. Here was the grid for my elevation, just really standard sort of uh, elevation heights, -5 for my foundation, and then, 10, 20, and then 35 for the roof height. I did go a little bit higher than I think what I ended up with. So then here's the grid layout and plan. Here was the 3D view axonometric for the site plan. I knew from the very beginning I wanted there to be a lot of, or not a lot of elevation, but I wanted there to be an elevation change from the street level up to the house. I wanted the house to feel elevated above everything else, kind of looking down a little bit on the street. And so that was the idea there. It's more rugged here, um, very, very steep dip, but yep, I ended up keeping this sort of idea of having an elevation change up to the building pad and up to, the overall house. And then this is that same image, just in plan. So now I'll go ahead and dive into my actual Revit file. I'm only going to be in realistic for a little bit, just to kind of highlight what I was trying to do, or what I did do with the wall materiality. I'm a big fan of Adobe Brick, being born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So that's the main material there, but I've come to really be a big fan of it. Revit doesn't have a Adobe, standard wall, so I ended up creating my own exterior and interior. So the exterior was 12 inches foot, and then the interior was half a foot. I'm also a big fan of terracotta roofing, so I was able to make my own roof in terracotta, and so that was fun. And then wanted to highlight the elevation change here. Oops, let's go back up here. There we go. Here's the street, and there is a elevation, kind of up on a hill. You drive up, and the house sits above everything else a little bit. And then trees, kind of the same thing. I love trees, and I think adding them to the house made it feel really a little bit more complete. Another little fun detail I added was the signage here for the address of the house, just so it's really easy to read. 22, my favorite number. And then, yeah, for anybody trying to find the house, delivery drivers who have a hard time seeing, they can easily see that this is Robinson 22. So, another little extra detail that I added was this trellis for outside, which is it kind of covers the walkway from the patio out to the outhouse. And so the outhouse was the extra little remark that I had for the first floor. But the trellis, is above these custom stepping stones, and we can look at the materiality here. And I was able to, oops, change it to uh, just gray concrete, but quartz, that's what it was. So this was quartz stone, a little bit nicer than just regular stone or concrete. And I like the idea of just like, a little flat rock that you see often when you go to a house, and especially if you don't want to step in the grass. So that was a lot of fun. And then this outhouse. So this outhouse kind of serves as just kind of like an outdoor area to chill out and hang out with. There's a little bar area. Uh, this entry right here is arched. I'm a big fan of arch, and then an arch window, and then an arched window for serving, and then that bar area for people to just kind of hang out and chill out at. So that's just the main overall idea of the house. I'm gonna actually, when I'm doing my using this section box, I'm going to be using shaded. That way it's just easier and it doesn't, freak out the Revit file too much. And I'll go ahead and try and look at this foundation. Go down a little bit more. Here we go. So I had to make the site topography really thick in order to do, the elevation change, having that curve or the slight incline up. So that's why that's super thick. Um, the footing and the overall foundation didn't end up being as much as I anticipated being. I could have added maybe more, but like this is all just concrete that's going to be resting on, the ground. So there wasn't a whole lot that needed to be done there. This is where the actual structure lies, so that was important to keep it there. But it is very linear when you look at it from above, and this is all just real standard stuff. W bars or I bars, and then regular footing and columns. Pretty standard stuff, but that was a lot of fun designing. And then going into the first floor, um, here we can get a better idea of the interior and how it works. So, the garage is big enough to fit two cars. I highlighted that by having one inside and one out. It'll show up when I go up a little bit higher, but the garage door. And then you can park outside in the driveway, and there is a still connection or walkway to the front door. And so for the front door, I was able to, change the wooding to this sort of dark oak, and that can be found on, the front door, these interior doors, and then even these other exterior doors that are double. And that was just something that I think that wood really is complementary to the Adobe brick. The Adobe brick's kind of like this tan color, and then having a really dark, strong wood uh, just makes it really pop. And I did that on the mullions too as well, which what you can see on this was my curtain wall. And then over here, I did my own little you know, uh, custom design window for when you walk in through the entry and you're going to walk to the master bedroom over here. There's just a little fun design that I had a lot of fun designing. Just how it's kind of like this wave, sort of natural kind of window opening. um, Looking at it in plan, just in shaded, everything kind of stayed the same from that second variation of my, schematic diagram. The bathroom, master bathroom, and the bathroom for everybody to use. And then you can see the furniture and how it works out uh, in the space and how that all ended up laying out, and then connections, how they actually all connect to each other, and then the spacing between the dining room and the kitchen. So this was all a lot of fun to really see come to life. Um, and then taking a look at the second floor, we see the stairs coming up here, railing. I didn't end up uh, keeping the two bedrooms. I ended up just making it one bedroom, but made that one the bigger one, and then this one maybe the second guest bedroom. But either way, this bathroom is still used for everybody. Nobody just gets that one bathroom. It has a relative connection to really the rest of the second floor. The office space ended up being a little bit smaller than I anticipated, but it was all good. You can see there's a window right there, but yeah, desk there for people to work at, and then you got your bathroom right above the other one, and then the game room area, chairs or sofas up there for people to chill out on. And then here is my studio space, which, this is a drafting table you can fit two, you can fit even more in there if you really tried, but Um, yeah, I think this would be a lot of fun to have in your real home. Lifting this up a little, oops, do that. Let me go to my section box and lift this up. Um, for the lighting in the window that gets into the space. I added a real fun corner window that was a lot of fun designing, and I think this is really successful as far as when the sun sets, there's still natural lighting getting hit in there towards the end of the day, and then if you wanted to look at it on the other side, two really standard windows. Was still able to manipulate and change the materiality of these windows, which I had a lot of fun with. I really like, strong dark oak. And over here is just uh, boundary walls serve as a fence. They don't really. I could have used like an actual wood paneling fence, or but I'm a real big fan of the adobe, so I ended up just keeping it that way. And it's just like an open walkway, no gate. You can still get to the back area, the backyard through that. So yeah, this is a lot of fun to create. And then looking at it one more time, the trees and how it all worked out together. So now I will dive into my sheets, starting with just some 3D views, some rendered views. This was just the rendered view of the front. So can see that stone, that adobe brick, and then the wood paneling. Um, and then you can also see the really fun window here that you can just walk through, and then there's that doorway. Here's just a backyard view of you can see that window, and then I ended up having enough space to fit two of these open doors, but to me, I think just waking up in the morning. You have your family over, everybody's just in that kitchen, could get crowded really quickly. So I think opening up those doors to each other and just having that outdoor feel connection, and then you could even take it outside if it ends up getting too crowded. But it really opens up that space a lot more, which is what you want in that sort of situation. And then here's a street view. Again, I really love highlighting the little address thing, and then yeah, just a real fun view of the actual design. Um, my ceiling plans are up first, so here I'll take a look at just a really standard ceiling plan, and then the lighting, just spaced out evenly. The I used a oops, it doesn't even let me click it, but yeah, the spacing is just either falls in the grid, and then on the hallways it falls on the lines of the grid. The space for the spaces, I wanted it to be pretty symmetrical. Right here in the kitchen and the dining room area, they're hitting all the same spots. Same thing for the entryway. The only spot that didn't was the living room, but I figured since it's a diagonal wall, having those lights be diagonal was pretty fitting. So looking at the ceiling too, kind of the same thing. Yeah, real same thing, symmetrical sort of layout, and then again, playing with this extra light and where you want to have it. You could put it anywhere really since it's diagonal wall, but yeah, that was a lot of fun to play around with. Then here's the ceiling for the roof, pretty regular. Has the overhang. And then looking at my cover. So this was the actual cover for the project. It's just like another street view, but you can see the project pretty well. Looking at elevations, so we have my roof height ended up being 30 instead of 35, but everything else really stayed the same. One thing I want to point out is the foundation is -5, and as you can see, this is where the signage is, which is where the street is. So the street is about 5 feet below the actual entry or floor, first floor. So that was that's just how it ended up being. This is the um, east elevation, and then I have my west elevation right here. Same thing, section cut that we'll get into. Here's my north and south elevations. This is looking at it from the front. Again, you can see that window pretty well. Oh, another one window I wanted to highlight was this is a bathroom highlight. It's above where like an average person could see through, so they can't see it, and it's also like a glazed window, so you couldn't. It'd be hard to really even see through. But I think having like a nice slit of a window to allow natural light was a lot of fun. And then another custom window up here for that office space. But this was really cool to see, the tree really, the tree's relationship to the site and kind of give it a more natural feel to see, the tree does cover parts of the house, at different viewpoints, and that is a experience for anybody buying it. They notice that sort of thing. And then the backyard highlights that outhouse, and then you can really see how much light could really get into these spaces with these windows and these doorways that have a lot of windows on them. And then again, the trees that, hide this part of the building, and then these trees that are just, out there. You can see the gate, the entryway. So, um, estimation. So my estimation, I tried to do one of all, but it was just too big. So I was able to get some wall, and my total ended up being this. Yikes. Then I did, the floor, grand total, window, grand total, uh, door schedule, grand total, and then also another floor. This floor one was strictly the concrete, and then this was just all the floors that ended up in the project. And then we also get to see my logo show up, which is a lot of fun. Here's the actual first floor with dimensions. Looks pretty chaotic, but that is pretty standard in any sort of construction plan. You see the trees, you see my grid layout on my X's, all my Y's, my section cuts that we'll get to. You see the furniture. Um, this ended up being around 72 by 30, not exactly, but close. And then my outhouse and it was around 18 and a half by 20 and a half. So a lot bigger of a project, but that's okay. I really liked designing something like this. That's a house. And then you can even see these from wall to wall, and then the window openings, door openings, which was a lot of fun. And then for floor two, same thing. Trees still show up. Um, I didn't include the outhouse since there is no second floor, but yeah, same sort of thing going on here. Uh, just highlighting these windows and doorways. Um, now we can look at the foundation plan, which I kind of went over. Really liked how that hatch came out for the actual soil and top of surface. But yeah, you can just see how linear the foundation is, because the house is real linear in general. Kind of works left to right if you're coming from the garage, or even if you're coming in from the entry, So this really highlighted it well, and then got my structure system going. Here's a legend, really standard stuff for whatever thing stands for. And then the dimensions and how they work, text types, all that fun stuff. Here's my roof plan. Um, yep, just a section cut through the roof. Again, there's a foot overhang, and then it's also terracotta room type. This was just an extra sort of sheet I added that just labeled all the rooms: garage, living room, entry, kitchen, master bedroom, master bathroom. and then outhouse, and then uh, that was yeah, and then schedules. This was pretty chaotic, but these were all the store schedules, room finish schedule, all the schedules really that Revit had already pre-created for me. So put that all on one. And then we get into our section for the floor one. And here you can just see, uh, you got window heights, ceiling height, 10 feet, and how that works really with the windows. Um, Really fun to see all this detailing kind of show up. Especially this window. I really like the drawing that it creates. The different line work that shows up. A lot of fun to really see. Here's the section and call out for floor two. So this is a full section for uh for floor two, and you can see the roof and the elevation change, and then its connection to the exterior walls, and then all the really fun stuff that goes on inside the interior. You can see the furniture, doorways, and then the garage door right here. Or sorry, my the door dining room door, and then even my foundation down here. Really fun. And then here's the overall site plan, again shaded. Um, a lot of try to put as much as I could onto this project, trying to add different things that I would personally want to have in my own dream house, definitely. Um, but yeah. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun building this project and learned a lot through this course. So thank you so much.